Hey guys, so today's video is going to be my all-time favorite romances. I am super excited for this video and I'm excited to hear your thoughts about my favorites in the comments down below. Today I want you to put your favorite romances and I'll respond to your comment and we'll see if we agree or not. I'm just kidding. But I love to hear what your favorite reads are and what your favorite book is this year so far. So definitely leave a comment and I'll respond to it. So I was going to start off with 10 books. That was my limit. And I don't even know how many books I have now that are my favorites that I just kept grabbing. I'm like, well, no, I need this one. I can't just leave this one out. And so it might be a longer video, but I'm excited.
About to leave, already packing.
But anyways, the first book is called Wait For It by Mariana Zapata. This is a slow burn, kind of enemies to lovers to friends, like most of her books are. And our heroine, she had to take in her brother's kids after he passed away. So she's been juggling being quote-unquote a mom to them, and she's their full-time guardian. And she is juggling having her job and trying to do all of these things for the kids. And her next door neighbor is this hotshot guy named Lawless, and he's super cute, and they kind of get off on the wrong foot. But it's so good, and her other neighbor is this old cranky lady, and she's hilarious. And I love this book so much. I loved their slow progression to their relationship. I thought it was beautiful, and I loved the kids, and they felt very realistic for their age, and I loved her family. They were amazing, and it was just an incredible read. And you get to see Colti, I think, and Sal from Colti, the book Colti, that's also by her, and a couple other characters show up, and this book is fantastic. It's hilarious, laugh out loud, amazing. So it's pretty thick, but aren't the best books thick books, I guess? Oh, I was trying to make a joke. I think it fell flat. So the next book is From Blood and Nash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a super hyped book, but I love it so much. I read it when it first came out, and I instantly fell in love. I love Poppy and Hawk and their relationship. I love how strong Poppy is, and I loved how she really felt for Hawk. And then throughout the book, something happens at the end of this book where she kind of doesn't trust Hawk anymore. And so throughout the next two books, we kind of see him regain her trust, which I thought was really cool. And I just thought Poppy was this badass chick, and I loved her. Well, I still do. And this is an incredible read, so definitely go check it out. Okay, so the next book is called Raven Song by TJ Klune, and it's not just one book. This is a series. I love this whole series as a whole, but this is my favorite. I loved this book. I love Gordo and Mark. So this is a werewolf paranormal series. The first book is called Wolf Song. This is Raven Song. It's the second one. And Mark and Gordo have a past. They really liked each other when they were younger, but something happened where Mark had to move away with his family, and Gordo was kind of a part of the family, and he felt like everybody had abandoned him. And so Mark, we see flashbacks and stuff, and Mark comes back into town, and then things are heating up in the town with the other people in the pack, and it's so good. You definitely have to read the first book in this series to understand what's happening in this one, but I loved this book so much. I loved how they slowly came back together at the end, and I really loved Mark and how patient he was with Gordo, and we saw so much character development with Gordo in this book that I absolutely loved. So definitely go check this one out. The next book is a Mariana Zapata book. Of course, this is Colti. Literally my favorite book she's ever written. I love this book so much. It's slow burn, hate to love, age gap, kind of forbidden. So our heroine, she has looked up to this one soccer player her whole life, Colti Rayner, and it's Rayner Colti. And he actually comes to coach her team, her soccer team, and at first they get off on the wrong foot and he really doesn't like her, and then they start to have this amazing friendship and it blooms into something more, and he makes the first move on her, which I thought was really cute, and she kind of has had this obsession with him like her whole life, not like creepily, but like, you know, like a fan over their idol. And so she like keeps trying to tell him that she's been like a super fan of her whole life, and it's really funny like how that all plays out. But this book is incredible. I loved it so much. Another chunky book, but definitely go read this one if you haven't read it. And it's a sports romance too, so it's soccer, and I loved it so much. So this next book is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. Of course, very hyped book, but I absolutely love this book. I love to reread parts of this book all the time. So our heroine and her boyfriend actually have to move in with her boyfriend's dad, and something happens where she gets together with her boyfriend's dad, and it's incredible. It sounds way more forbidden than it is. I mean, it is forbidden, but like they really didn't want to be together, but they just came to it, and they came to it where they just had to be together. There was so much chemistry, so much passion, and they actually met before she knew that it was her boyfriend's dad, so she wasn't like lusting over him her entire relationship with her boyfriend, and they never got together until she was done with her boyfriend. But I absolutely adore this book. It's incredible. I love the emotions. I love Jordan, the heroine, and her quirks and what she likes to do, which I thought was really interesting. And Pike, he was so protective over her, and I absolutely love that. So this is one of my favorites ever, and Penelope Douglas is one of my favorite authors ever. So definitely go check this out if you haven't already. This next book is called The Surviving Trace by Callie Reed. This book is incredible. It's way lesser known than any of the other books I'm probably talking about during this video. It's a time travel romance where our heroine time travels to, I think it's 1912, and she somehow ends up being able to time travel. And so when she gets there, this like guy comes up to her and is like, "You're my wife," and she's like, "What?" And so basically she like switched with this other girl who literally has the same exact name as her. Her first name's Serene, and literally is a doppelganger of her, and we don't know where the other girl went. But so she's in the past, and she's like living her life, the other woman's life, and the husband, his name is Etienne, he hates his wife in real life, and so it's really hard for him to believe Serene about what she's saying to him, and she's just trying to like prove it to him with all of these like facts she knows about what comes in history in that year. And I love this book so much. It's set in Charleston, I think it's South Carolina. And I loved the atmospheric views, and the house that they have is so beautiful. It's like this like old mansion, and I loved the way everything was described in this book and how this book was written. It's a trilogy, and it's an amazing book. She's actually engaged in real life, like the real life Serene, like the one in the present, and so she's struggling with her emotions because she's slowly falling in love with Etienne. And it's incredible. The second book is actually my favorite ever, but I still love this book. I just wanted to include this whole trilogy in this video. Okay, so this next book is called The Swedish Oblivion by Danielle Laurie. This book is so hyped on TikTok, but it's incredible. I was so pleasantly surprised by how much I love this book. And a lot of people said this wasn't their favorite in the series, but I found it was my favorite of the series, and a lot of people also said that the third book is their favorite, and I absolutely did not like that book. Gave it 3 stars, super boring. It really only had, the whole plot was just like sex. It was just them staying in like his house and having sex all the time, and it was really boring. But this one was impeccable, one of my top favorite reads ever and this year. So let me just tell you what it's about. Our heroine, Elena, her sister is actually marrying the hero, and he is a lot older. His name is Nico, and this is the mafia, and she kind of is like really interested in him, and they have this like angsty chemistry, and every time they see each other, it's so angsty, and the moments that they have together alone are, oh my god, like fire. It's incredible how much chemistry and angst these two characters have for each other. And it was like a slow burn, angsty read, and I loved it so much. And so something happens where they actually do end up together, and it's a marriage of convenience. But he's so protective over her, alpha male all the way, but not like bad alpha male where he's like controlling every aspect of her life. But this book is so good. I devoured it. It's amazing, and the second book is really good too. So definitely go check these 2 books out. And I really love this book, and I can't wait to read more from Daniel Laurie. But definitely go check it out. One of the best romances I've ever read. So this next book is called Lawless, and it's by T.M. Frazier, and I read this book a couple years ago, but it was one of my first motorcycle romances I've ever read, and kind of dark romance ever. And I really fell in love with this story and these characters. So this is actually the second couple in this series. Each couple gets about like 2 books. So the first 2 books were King and Doe, and this book was Tay and Bear, and I loved it. So Tay has never really had a great home life, and so something happens where she's kind of left all alone and she doesn't know what to do. And when she was younger, this motorcycle, these 2 MC club members came into this convenience store that she worked at and tried to rob her, and one of them like stopped the other guy, and he was like, if you ever need anything, come to me. And so he left her with something, like I think it was like a coin or something, or no, it was a ring maybe. And so she decides to cash in that favor, and it sets off a whole chain of events. And it's insane what happens in this book, and it's so freaking good. It's age gap. It's not really forbidden because they both really like each other, but it's definitely hate to love. It's incredible. It's very dark though, so know that going in. I think there's triggers for sexual assault, and it's with the heroine, but it's not by the hero. It's by somebody else, and suicide and like murder, I think. I can't remember the other ones, but it's so amazing if you want a quick dark romance read. Love this so much, and you have to get the second book with this couple, because if you don't, then you'll be left on a cliffhanger. Okay, so I read this book recently, and it's not as much the book, it's more the couple, which is Lily and Lo from the Addicted series, and I just love them so much. In this book especially, I really got more of a look into why Lily is the way she is, and I hope we get to see that in the next book. But I love these characters so much. I love seeing their struggles and seeing them work through it and seeing them trying to make changes in their life. And I really respect both of these characters, and I can't wait to read more from them. So I also just read this book recently too, but it's Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover. This is one of my favorite books of all time now. Atlas and Lily Forever. I just loved how they kept going back to each other every time, and I loved Lily's character so much and how strong she was, because she dealt with some tough stuff in this book, and I loved to see her be such a strong woman and she's become now one of my like character idols. Like, I look up to Lily because of what she had to go through with this book, and what she chose to do, and I really admire her, and I love this book so much. Okay, so this next book is called Welcome to the Dark Side by Gianna Darling. I actually have 3 Gianna Darling books that are going to be included in this video, so this is the first one. This book is incredible. It's a motorcycle romance series, and this is with Lulu and Zeus. And when Lulu was young, she got hit by a bullet, and Zeus stepped in front of her to save her. And that's kind of kick-started their whole like friendship / relationship. And so he actually went to jail for that. And so while he was in jail, she wrote him letters, but she also found out that she got cancer. And so he was really a big part of her life, like somebody she really looked up to, and somebody she went to make her feel better with everything that she was dealing with, especially so young. And so when she gets older, she's the mayor's daughter, she's like the good girl. She decides to be kind of like on the dark side of life, and so she's doing all these things, and she's trying to get Zeus's attention, and she does, and then it sparks their romance. He never like lusted over her creepily or whatever. But it's definitely age gap dark. There's so much action that happens in this book, and I just love the relationship so much. I love how much Zeus cares for her and how protective he is of her, and his like alpha male coming out at every second of this book. He's one of my favorite book boyfriends ever. So definitely go read this book if you haven't. Okay, so these next 2 books are by Gianna Darling. It's the Antiheroes Duet. This is the first book, When Heroes Fall, and so this is a mafia book, and I actually talked about it on my TikTok. If you don't follow me, it's right over Heroes with L. And so this book, our heroine is the lawyer to our hero. He's a famous mafioso in New York, and so she has to work with him, and she kind of knows him from her past, and she never wants to go back and relive some of her past and what happened, because she grew up in Italy and where the mafia was very like powerful there, and so she kind of has all these bad feelings towards her past, and so she kind of projects it onto Dante, our hero, and he's just so patient with her, and it's slow burn, hate to love, and she actually has to stay with him in his apartment because she's his lawyer for like certain reasons, and it's so good. I loved Elena so much. She's gone through so much in her lifetime, but she's just bounced back. She's such a strong woman, and I love that about her so much. Definitely go check this duet out. It's freaking amazing. I love Dante so much. One of my favorite book boyfriends ever. Gianna Darling is also just one of my favorite authors ever, so definitely go check out some of her books, especially this one. Okay, so this next book is called Queen Move by Kennedy Ryan. I had to put one Kennedy Ryan book on this list because I love her writing so much, and so I decided to put this one on. This is also just one of my favorites of all time. So our 2 characters, our main characters, were childhood friends, and they kind of grew apart because our hero had to leave when they were about to go in high school, and so she never saw him again. And when she does see him again, he is with another woman and he has a child, but he kind of is not with that woman anymore, but he still has a child, so she is trying to get to know him again, but she's not trying to step over his toes, and she is a really big part in the political world, and especially in Atlanta, she's trying to help this guy become governor or whatever, and so that's why she's there in Atlanta where he is, and so she sees him a lot, and they just kind of spark up their friendship again, and it leads to their romance, and I love this book so much. I love Kimba. She's such a strong, beautiful woman, and I just love this book so much. And the Kingmakers Duet, if you haven't read that yet, you need to. It's incredible. Okay, so this next book is called Something in the Way by Jessica Hawkins. It's not particularly this book that I love so much. It's the series and the progression of this relationship. This is a love triangle between our heroine, her sister, and this guy that she's loved her whole life. And so the premise of this book is basically that she sees him first, and then her sister sees him, and her sister sinks her claws into him. The hero's not some like Dumbo. He's like, oh, I'll just get with your sister because I can't be with you. There's like actual real reasons why he's with the sister, and it makes sense in the moment, but you're just so frustrated because you just want them to be together. And so they meet when she's 16, our heroine, but nothing happens like inappropriately. But this love spans years, and there's so much pining and angst and just love for each character, like both characters on both ends. And it's an incredible book. I cried so many times reading this series. Jessica Hawkins is amazing. I also love the White Monarch series by her, and I just love this book so much. So definitely go check it out. It's incredible. Okay, so we're down to our last two, and this one is another Gianna Darling. This is Inked in Lies. I love this book so much. I feel like not as many people talk about it as the other ones like Priest and Zeus, but this is also just one of my favorites of all time. I read it this past summer, early summer, and it was incredible. This is about Lila and Nova, and they are childhood best friends, and kind of age gap too. Something happens where she can't live with her parents anymore, so her and her brother move in with his family, and they grew up together, and then her brother goes off to the army, and he's presumably gone. And so now we flash forward to the present where she's trying to do stuff to figure out who is like trafficking these like women or something like that, something illegal. I can't remember if it's trafficking women or not, but she's working to like get in and get intel, and so he is like mad at her for like doing that because he's like, no, you can't be like getting in trouble, and he's just really protective of her. And this book also really broke my heart. The first couple of chapters were very heartbreaking and emotional, but I just love this book so much. And the series, the Fallen Men series, is incredible by Gianna Darling. So this last book, of course, is by Sarah J. Maas, and this is Reese and Farrah. I'm not even going to say what the plot is because I think everybody knows what this book is about. But all I'm going to say is just I love Reese and Farrah together as a power couple. They're just incredible, and I love them so much, especially Reese. He's my ultimate book boyfriend. Seriously, you guys. And I just love this book so much. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it and hearing what my all-time favorite books ever are. And definitely in the comments tell me what your favorites are too. And I hope you have a good day wherever you are. And I love you guys, and I'll see you soon.